A very good morning to one and all. Today let's discuss about the pay model. So pay model, it's a very important component in compensation. And what is this pay model is all about? So let's try to understand how this pay model works and how this has been relevant in organizations. So pay model is an framework, you can say a framework for examining the current pay systems. So basically it contains the three important basic building blocks. Those are the strategic compensation objectives, the strategic policies that forms the foundation to the compensation, also the techniques of compensation. So this of the model where you can say efficiency, fairness and compliance. So these comes under strategic objectives. So based on this, what these objectives serves as. So primarily they guide and helps to design the pay system which has been considered where the employer is being rewarded for the employee based on an outstanding performance. So that objective will determine what exactly the pay policies will say about. So example, pay for performance, as well as you can say the elements maybe based on their incentives, based on the merit performance of an employee, you can consider. So another employer's objective may be to develop a flexible plans which helps them to learn the workforce through some job designs, maybe through the training, and usually even through the team building where the techniques build upon. So the pay system that is really aligned with the employer's objective have a policy of paying salaries that at least equal to those of competitors. So any industry or any company where they are going to pay, they need to set a benchmark with their competitors. So here and there slight differences is okay, but always anybody who sets the compensation will be based on their competitors. That usually what they consider, that too based on skills and the knowledge. So the efficiency objective can be stated more specifically by improving the performance, maybe by improving the quality of work life and delighting the customers, also the stockholders, and even the main aspect is usually through controlling the labor cost. So the next comes is fairness. So fairness, it's a fundamental objective of the pay system. Thus, the fairness objective attempts to ensure the fair treatment for all the employees by recognizing both the employee contribution towards the work as well as what they in turn receive as a compensation. So, example, higher the pay for greater performance and based on the experience and based on the training. And the employee needs, suppose example, a fair wage as well as the fair procedures has to be inculcated here. So next comes is procedural fairness. What is this procedural fairness? So it is always concerned with the process that is being used to make the decisions. So what decisions? Pay decisions. Ultimately, a pay decisions to make out this procedural fairness is carried out. And it also suggests on a pay decision on what basis it is made and how it is important to the employees. As a result of that decision, they are going to get the pay. So the compliance acts as a pay objective which involves the conforming to the various or maybe the central provincial and the territorial compensation laws. So where the company has to follow these regulations, and also these laws and regulation change the pay system which needs to be adjusted, also will helps to ensure the continued compliance in the organization. So overall basically an objectives also serves as standards for judging the success of the pay system. If the objective is to attract and retain the best employees or maybe the very hard working employees as a part of brightest part, but yet there are skilled employees or maybe the skilled laborers who are leaving to take higher paying jobs with other employers. So that's why people look very frequently the change in jobs. So that's the system that may not be performing effectively. So we need to rethink and rebuild on the system what we have. The second aspect is strategic policies. Though there are 4 strategic policies, every employer must really look into this strategic policies or maybe the decisions that is being shown in the left side of the pay model. So which we have already seen the pictorial representation of the pay model. So those 4 strategic policies are internal alignment, external competitiveness, employee contributions, and administration of the pay system. And always these policies acts as a foundation on which the pay systems are built, maybe in the corporate. So let's see each one of them. Internal alignment. So when we say internal alignment, this refers to the comparison between the jobs or maybe the skill sets, skill levels within the organization. It means within the single organization or maybe within the organization, it is being referred as a comparison that takes place between what kind of jobs exist and what kind of skill sets the employee possesses. Also, this includes work analysis, jobs, and the people's skills are compared in terms of their contribution to the organization's objective. So always we have also said and understood that our objective should be inclined with the organization's objective. So while aligning the job description for each of the job, you need to decide the amount of pay that you need to pay to the employee. For example, does the work of the programmer compared with the work of the system analyst? Definitely no. So the software engineer or with that of the software architect? No. So entirely their job, it means the programmer job is different and analyst job is different. So based on this, how these internal alignment contribute or maybe in align with providing the solution to the customers and how really they satisfy the shareholders. Based on this, they emphasize or maybe they evaluate the criteria based on the performance that the employee is going to contribute. So in this regard, we try to even determine what is an appropriate difference that comes with pay for people performing with different work is the one challenge that usually managers face in the organization. So each job has its own relative worth. So based on that, even the managers face the challenges. So coming to the part of internal alignment policies, they influence all the 3 compensation objectives because the relationship that exists within the organization have an effect on employee decisions to stay also with the organization and also to become more flexible by spending an additional training to the employees or to seek the greater responsibilities for the development of the career or maybe the growth of an employee as well as in turn that contributes to the organization's objective achievement. So the next comes is external competitiveness. So when we say an external competitiveness, this includes market definition, maybe the surveys and the policy lines. So what this policy lines is? So this is in comparison of compensation with that of its competitors. Also it defines and tells you how should an employer be placed or positioned themselves to pay their employees the pay structure with compared to that of the competitors. And also survey or maybe these surveys will help the companies to design or to analyze for the managers in comparison to what other real employers would pay them. So if you just compare with yourself with that of your competitor, you will get to know, okay, what is that the payment that we are trying to make is worth or not. So what mix of pay forms usually helps us to give the base pay, the incentives to the employees, and the stock options to the employees, and the various kinds of benefits to the employees, which will help them to achieve the compensation objectives. So increasingly, having all these aspects, organizations also claim that their pay systems are market driven. No company will say that, okay, I'm not paying the less amount or maybe the less compensation. Every company will say that, yes, I am at the par or maybe at par or at standard of the corporate. So that is based on that, almost exclusively what other their competitors are paying. And they also claim that these decisions ensures them that the pay is sufficient to attract and retain the employees. It also helps us to control the labor cost that the organization prices based on the products or maybe the services, that they remain and tend to be more competitive in nature. Third one is employee contribution. So marking on this, the pay for contribution usually depends on the seniority. So also it differs from organization to organization and sector to sector. If it's a public sector, that is different, and if it's a private sector, that is different. So that depends totally based on seniority, also based on the performance, and based on their merit. It means they're purely merit based. So the relative emphasis is placed on the performance. One should understand the programmer to be paid differently from other if one has better performance or maybe the greater seniority. It means that based on the position, based on the knowledge, based on the skill sets, what the employee has an ability to perform, it means that based on that the person should be paid. So that's why they say that how employee contributes, on the basis of that even the payment is being given or it has been compensated. So based on this, should all the employees share in the organization's financial success? Yes. So each one is maybe paid based on a fixed base pay, based on their types of job that they have joined the organization. But the incentives or maybe any profit, if they need to contribute to the employees, definitely the work differs from what the one person is performing to the other person, what he or she is performing. So more productive teams of employees should be paid more and less to the productive teams who have not performed compared to the people who have already performed. So the degree of emphasis here is to understand or to place an importance that the performance is an important pay policy decision. You perform and you take your pay. Since it is directly affected to the employee's attitude and maybe the work behaviors, so that's why an employee should be very careful while performing the job in the organization. So coming to the part of administration, when you say policies, with regards to some administration, so the pay system is the last building block in the pay model. This system will not achieve its objective unless it is managed properly. So having all said these three important blocks, administration means so each and every aspect of that decision making should work very well. Then only the system is managed properly, is said to be managed properly. So the greatest system that helps in designing the world is useless without competent management. It means that people are performing well, people are making them service properly. In spite of all those things, if you don't have a management who can watch you and who can make you pay based on your performance, then also it is a incompetent management. So sometimes they say that managers will choose what forms of pay should be included and how that positions should be divided or should be allotted to the employees against with that of the competitors. And also they must communicate with employees, also judge whether the system is achieving its objectives. So ultimately an organization's objective should be inclined or implied with the employee's objective. Then only both people work towards a unique direction. So managers must ask, so are we able to attract the skill-based workers? Can we help them? It means that do our employees feel our system is fair? So always when you're trying to work in an organization, the employee should feel that, okay, is the system is good, it is fair, it is equally treated for everybody. And the last question that comes is, do employees understand how their pay is determined? So many of them will not be bothered about their pay system. Okay, something they are been paying for me and I'm trying to give some kind of work to them in turn. So this is not an ultimate this thing. So each and every employee in the organization should understand how their pay is really defined. And pay techniques. And these techniques usually tie with 4 basic policies to the pay objectives. Same with that of internal alignment, external competitiveness, right? So you have 2 examples for this. One company is for Medtronic and the other one is Merilink. Compare these kind of this thing, we have a differences in strategies, different strategies within the same industry. We have a strategic choices which involves all kind of questions that the company or the organization has to answer. So this is where we try to understand the pay model with its perspective. Thank you.